There's a pattern that plays out in certain marriages. A pattern most men don't recognize until it's too late. On the surface, everything looks fine. The wedding photos, the house, the life they built together. From the outside, it looks like success. But underneath, something was wrong from the very beginning. Today, we're going to talk about a dynamic that quietly destroys marriages before they even start. It's not infidelity. It's not incompatibility. It's something far more subtle and far more devastating. Being chosen for what you provide, rather than who you are. This isn't about blaming anyone. It's about understanding a psychological pattern that leaves men blindsided by divorces they never saw coming. If any of this sounds familiar, it might save you years of confusion. Not every marriage begins with deep emotional connection. Some marriages begin as solutions to problems. A woman reaches a certain age. Her friends are getting married. Her social circle is shrinking as couples pair off. She's tired of dating. She wants stability. She wants the house, the kids, the life everyone else seems to have. And the man in front of her? He's good enough. He's stable. He's willing. He's available. So she says yes. Not because he's the one, but because he's there. This isn't evil. It's practical. But practical decisions don't create emotional bonds. When marriage is chosen for timing, status, or security, the foundation is already cracked. The husband doesn't know it yet. He thinks he was chosen. In reality, he was selected. And there's a difference. There's a difference between a woman who marries you because she can't imagine life without you, and a woman who marries you because you fit her timeline. One is building with you. The other is using you as a building block point. One of the most painful dynamics a man can experience is being the replacement. Before you, there was someone else. Maybe he was exciting but unreliable. Maybe he was successful but unavailable. Maybe he was everything she wanted, except willing to commit. That relationship ended, but the feelings didn't. So she moves on. She finds you. You're stable where he was chaotic. You're present where he was distant. You're willing where he wasn't. On paper, you're the upgrade. But in her heart, you're the consolation prize. She marries you not because she moved on, but because she gave up. You're not her first choice. You're her fallback. And no matter how good of a husband you become, you're competing with a ghost, a memory she's idealized, a comparison you can never win. Men in this position often feel something is off, but can't explain it. She's present, but not fully present. Committed, but not fully invested. There's a distance he can't bridge. That distance is the space between him and the man she really wanted. And the cruelest part? He'll never know for sure. She might not even be fully aware of it herself. But unfinished emotional business has a way of contaminating everything that comes after. Point one of the biggest mistakes men make is committing too fast. Early on, everything feels perfect. She's attentive, affectionate, excited about the future. It feels like confirmation. Why wait? But early relationships are performances. Both people are showing their best version. The real person doesn't appear until later, until stress hits, until comfort sets in, until the performance becomes exhausting to maintain. Men who commit quickly never meet the person they actually marry. They propose to the representative and wake up married to the real person. By then, finances are merged. Lives are entangled. Time is the only reliable filter. Not chemistry, not promises. Not how good it feels right now. Only time reveals whether someone loves you or loves what you provide. Here's something every man needs to understand. Money problems don't destroy marriages. They reveal them. When money is flowing, everything feels easier. Affection is effortless. Problems stay hidden. But when money gets tight, when the job is lost, when things fall apart, the truth comes out. If she married you for connection, hardship brings you closer. If she married you for provision, hardship exposes the transaction. Watch what happens when you struggle. Does she lean in or pull away? Does she fight with you or start keeping score? The men who get blindsided by divorce often say, "Everything was fine until the money problems."
No.
The money didn't break the marriage. It revealed that it was already broken. In healthy relationships, you're loved for who you are. In transactional ones, you're valued for what you do. Conditional love means your standing depends on performance. When you provide, you're respected. When you struggle, affection disappears. That's not partnership. That's employment. And like any job, when performance drops, you get replaced. The tragedy? These men often try harder. They work more, sacrifice more, take bigger risks, believing that more will finally earn love. But conditional love can never be secured. The requirements keep moving. There is no finish line. Some women stay married, but emotionally absent. She's there, but not really there. Warm some days, cold others. The husband chases the good days, trying to recreate them, but he's chasing smoke. Her presence depends on circumstances, not commitment. That's conditional engagement. And it slowly drives men insane. By the time a woman files for divorce, she's already been gone for a long time. Men think divorce is sudden. It isn't. The emotional exit happened months, sometimes years earlier. She processed it quietly. By the time he reacts, she's finished. That's why promises don't work. He just learned there's a problem. She already solved it. Here's the truth. Some men are valued for utility, not love. They fix. They provide. They absorb stress. They confuse usefulness with affection. And when they stop being useful, the warmth disappears. These men are often good men. Reliable, responsible, hardworking. But their strength becomes their vulnerability. Because they attract people who want to be supported, not partnered. What's the lesson? Don't rush. Time reveals what promises hide. Don't overfunction. Love isn't earned through sacrifice. Watch for emotional imbalance. Recognize the signs. And most importantly, you deserve to be chosen for who you are, not for what you provide. You deserve a partner who's fully present, not one measuring you against a ghost. The right relationship doesn't feel like an audition. It feels like partnership. Know the difference. And don't accept anything less. There's another layer to this pattern that many men never examine. And it's uncomfortable, because it requires looking inward. Some men are drawn to these dynamics, not because they're unlucky, but because they're familiar. If you grew up in an environment where love had to be earned, where approval came after performance, where affection followed achievement, then conditional love feels normal. You don't question it. You expect it. So when a woman responds warmly to your effort, to your sacrifice, to your reliability, it feels like love. But what you're really experiencing is validation. And validation is not the same thing as being chosen. Many men learned early that being useful was the safest way to be accepted. You were praised for helping, rewarded for responsibility, valued for reliability. So you internalized a belief. If I do enough, if I provide enough, if I make myself indispensable, I'll be loved. That belief doesn't disappear in adulthood. It shows up in relationships. You overgive. You overcommit. You overfunction. And you mistake appreciation for attachment. But appreciation fades. Love doesn't. Here's something few men want to hear. Caretaking is not intimacy. Fixing her problems is not bonding. Rescuing her during a crisis does not create attraction. It creates relief. And relief has an expiration date. When the crisis passes, when she no longer needs saving, the emotional connection often fades with it. The man feels confused. I was there when no one else was. I supported her. I sacrificed. Yes. But you were a solution, not necessarily a partner. Another dangerous misconception men carry is this. I'm being patient. That proves my value. Patience is not always strength. Sometimes it's avoidance. Avoidance of asking hard questions. Avoidance of setting boundaries. Avoidance of facing uncomfortable truths. Men tolerate emotional distance because confronting it risks losing the relationship. So they wait. They hope. They endure. But silence doesn't heal imbalance. It cements it. Pay attention to asymmetry. Who initiates affection? Who repairs conflict? Who adjusts more? If you're always the one reaching, and she's always the one evaluating, that gap will grow. Love doesn't require constant persuasion. Mutual desire doesn't need to be maintained through effort alone. Some men confuse peace with stability. They think a quiet relationship means a healthy one. But silence isn't always peace. Sometimes it's emotional disengagement. A woman who has emotionally checked out often becomes calm because she's already gone. No more arguing. No more demanding. No more fighting. Not because things are good, but because she no longer cares enough to engage. Men misread this as improvement. It's often the final stage. The most dangerous relationships aren't explosive. They're numb. Nothing is obviously wrong, but nothing is truly right. And numbness is harder to confront than chaos. Let's talk about boundaries. Men who are always available, always agreeable, always accommodating, often believe they're being loving. But what they're actually doing is removing friction. And friction is where respect lives. Without boundaries, your presence becomes assumed. Without standards, your attention becomes cheap. Being chosen requires contrast, not games, not manipulation, but self-respect. A man with a full life doesn't cling.
He invites.
He doesn't audition.
He observes.
He doesn't rush commitment to secure affection. He allows time to reveal truth. That's not fear. That's wisdom. Here's a hard truth. If a relationship requires you to constantly prove your worth, it's not love. If affection rises and falls with your output, it's not partnership. If you feel replaceable when you struggle, that's not safety. Healthy love is boring to people addicted to validation. It doesn't spike. It doesn't fluctuate wildly. It's consistent. It's present. It doesn't disappear when circumstances change.
So slow down.
Watch patterns, not words. Look at how she responds when things aren't perfect. Look at whether she invests emotionally or simply evaluates outcomes. Look at whether her affection is stable or performance-based. You don't need to be extraordinary to be loved. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to save anyone. You need to be chosen. Fully.
Consistently.
Without conditions. The right relationship feels like two people building together, not one person carrying the structure. If you remember nothing else, remember this. Love doesn't feel like pressure. Love doesn't feel like fear. Love doesn't feel like audition. It feels like home.